This is going to be great.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Just Two Dads with my co-host and partner, Mr. Shawn Francis. I am Brian Altunian, and today's conversation is going to be fascinating, amazing, and actually something that seems to be something that we already automatically already think about. However, for some people, it's not an automatic, and that is the idea of having a positive role model. Why young adults need positive role models in their lives. So going to be a fascinating conversation. Our guests are fun and amazing people. Between our past guest, Nancy Alspaugh Jackson, and her son, Wyatt, and their friend, Dylan Aragon. It's going to be an awesome conversation. So stay tuned for another episode of Just Two Dads. Hello, everybody. I am Brian Altunian, along with Shawn Francis, and this is, episode number 160-something of Just Two Dads. About 3.5 years ago, Shawn and I decided to do the work. With the work that we do in financial services, we were talking to a lot of folks helping the special needs community, and we kept encountering amazing people who were providing services and support for our community. And these were folks that we hadn't heard of, and as dads of special needs children, we thought, well, if we don't know about it, other people should know about it as well. So we created this podcast as a way to shine a spotlight on those folks who are providing services and support to individuals with special needs and their families. And we've had a phenomenal run, and really it's been so exciting for the last 3.5 years because we've encountered really amazing people. So before we get into today's conversation, just want to thank you if you're catching us on Facebook. Feel free to put comments in. If it's something that you'd like us to see, we can throw it up on the screen. If you're catching us after the fact on our YouTube channel at Just Two Dads, please leave a comment, hit the subscribe button. Let us know if there's a subject matter or comment that you'd like to make on the talk today. We'd love to get some feedback from you. And if you're catching us on WSTX AM radio down the U.S. Virgin Islands or on podcast outlets, wherever you get podcasts, thank you for making us part of your listening day. I want to thank Sean Hall, who is our producer out in Hawaii, who helps kind of put all this together for us. And without further ado, we're going to get into today's conversation. So we'd had a conversation with Nancy Alspaugh Jackson. Nancy, it was probably a year and a half ago. And fascinating story. We've heard a little bit about your backstory and a little bit about Wyatt, but we get a chance to meet your son Wyatt today and his friend Dylan Aragon, whose mother Sharon is a phenomenal warrior mom as well. There you go. We're waving. So we're going to have a great conversation today. And so before we jump into it, I'm going to throw it over to Shawn Francis. How you doing, Shawn?
I am doing great. Thank you. Blessed and thankful, and just ready to jump right into everything. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in and welcome Nancy back to the show. Welcome, Nancy, and welcome to Wyatt and Dylan.
Thank you for having us, Wyatt.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Brian.
And Shawn.
And Shawn.
Good morning.
Wyatt's having a little bit of a sensory issues and quieting his body, as a lot of kids on the spectrum do. Can you sit quietly for the interview?
Yes.
Okay, great.
That's okay. We're more than fine. Nancy, I want to jump right into it because we also have Don Wilson hoping to join us, but he's having some serious issues. He's frozen as far as his internet goes.
Hold on, he's having technical issues. He's having technical issues. He's not literally frozen. He's having technical issues.
No, he's actually frozen. I'm not sure what's wrong with the heating at his place, but he's frozen and he's got internet issues as well. No, but he's going to try and get through the technical issues and come back on and join us. But the topic was sort of Nancy's brainchild in terms of the importance of positive role models in the lives of young adults with special needs. And if you are a positive role model or caregiver in the life of someone, a young man with special needs or neurodivergent, or have someone like that, you may take for granted exactly how valuable that is. Nancy, your perspective as to why that's important is someplace that I want to start. A lot of your story lends itself to the value that you see in that. So why don't we start with that?
Okay. Yeah, I had talked to you guys about maybe doing this topic, and this was prior to Wyatt and Dylan getting to meet and train, go to the gym with Don the Dragon Wilson, who is the highest ranked kickboxer of all time. Both of these boys doing their martial art, their black belt in martial arts. And in Wyatt's case, Wyatt's father died 8 years ago after a very long battle with cancer. So I was left with a 14-year-old son with autism to raise. And I got to tell you, it was petrifying. It really threw me for a loop. And I was on your show once before talking about my battle with addiction and spending several months in rehab because I developed an addiction to Xanax, which was prescribed by doctors. But that was all in an effort to quell my anxiety about raising an autistic child on my own. So what have I done that has helped me? I've surrounded my son with positive role models from all walks of life, teachers, his art teacher, Paola Luther, teachers at his school, his pastors, his aide, who is a man named John McLaughlin, his trainer, Johnny, who is here with us today, and guys like John the Dragon. You know, if I see an opportunity for Wyatt to have a strong role model in his life, I grab it. So Don had been a friend of mine for many years. I used to do a big fundraiser called Denim and Diamonds for Autism. And I had met Don in the boxing gym and knew he was the highest ranked kickboxer of all time. He donated gloves and lessons. And we've been friends on Facebook. And one day I reached out to him, and he was in Australia on a movie. He's done many, many movies. I said, would you be willing to meet the kids at the gym? And he did. And an amazing experience for both of them, wasn't it, guys? Meeting with Don?
Yes.
Dylan, wasn't it great?
It was such a surreal experience, and he still looks very awesome to this day.
I agree. He's having some difficulty signing back in, but we'll get him on here in just a second.
Let's hope we get him on. But,
he's great.
you know, I heard once said, Wyatt's pastor once said in a sermon, if you are not your kid's leader, someone else will be. And if we don't pick positive role models for our children, they will find somebody to follow, be it the leader of a gang, be it somebody on social media, so as parents, it's incumbent upon us to choose the village we surround these kids with. And I think even more important in the lives of special needs young adults. So that's where I come from.
It's amazing. And I definitely want to talk about, first of all, I got the privilege of meeting both Dylan and Wyatt at a screening that we had for the Beyond Ranch organization, and that was awesome. I want to talk about Wyatt's art for a second, because you also mentioned Wyatt's art teacher while we're waiting for Don to get back to come back on, and I got a chance to meet Dylan too, and it was great conversation. Can we talk about Wyatt's art? I have something I want to share with you in a second, but will you just touch on Wyatt's artwork and what he's doing?
Wyatt has been painting since he was a year old. And it actually started as what we call a STEM in the autism world, a self-stimulatory behavior.
I get annoyed.
And yeah, you do get annoyed sometimes, and you like to splash water. So what we noticed was he would put the brush in the water, and then put it on a canvas. We had a studio.
We used to.
Yeah. And he would start painting. And he did that from he was a year old. And it just kind of grew and grew. It's called shaping of a stem. You take For example, there's a friend of ours, Peter and Crystal Shepard, have a son named Logan who's on the spectrum. And he's now a world-renowned drummer. He used to hand clap. So Peter, being an old rock and roll roadie, stuck 2 drumsticks in his hand. The rest is history. He just played with Ringo Starr and Toto at the at Astor Family Center fundraiser a few months back. So we kind of did it. I didn't realize it at the time. It was a purposeful stem. And I have to say, I had the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Temple Grandin twice. And Temple said to me, tell me about Wyatt after the interview. And I said, well, he does this and this and this. And she goes, what does he like? And I said, he likes to paint. She goes, that. She said, nurture that.
I'm going to read that.
She said, I liked cows. And look at me now. So I think oftentimes we look at the deficits and not the strengths. Dylan's always been attracted to the martial arts. He's always wanted to be a stuntman. Wyatt always loved art. He loves the martial arts. So let's look at our kids' strengths. And I have,
Absolutely.
Well, my kid only likes to play video games. I'm like, there. Maybe you'd be a video game designer. You don't know, right?
Right. At that screening,
Wyatt just said, not easy.
not easy. No, for sure. At that screening, you were offering for people to make donations to the Beyond Ranch organization, opportunities for folks to make a donation, and then in exchange, Wyatt would send a painting or painted rock or some sort of painting. And I chose a dragonfly for a friend that Shawn and I have, whose mom had recently passed away, and the dragonfly was a symbol that she knew that her mom was around. And so I will say that we got a beautiful rock, and all of Wyatt's background in the package, gave that as a birthday present for our friend. And she called me out specifically and said it was the most meaningful and thoughtful gift she had and the most beautiful dragonfly represented on this rock. So Wyatt, you have a lot of fans, and your artwork is absolutely beautiful and meaningful.
It's a light green.
Say who this is.
This is Dakota. He's my polar bear, and he's panting because he was hot and because of the light green grass. And look at all those colors I did. That's blue right
Beautiful.
there, and that's different colors right there, right there, right there. And look at his smile, and that's very funny.
And then
Why? How long did it take to do that?
A few months ago.
you did it a few months ago, but let's be honest, you do these in about 2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
He does them in 2 to 3 hours here. Who's this?
This is Mini Moon. It's a dark green grass, and I painted him cream, dark brown and black eyes, and black reins. And he's walking in a field.
Well, this is our little miniature that we donated to Special Spirits. I'm on the board of Special Spirits, which does assisted riding. And we donated this miniature. He lives there now, but he's ours. And he does pet portraits. And here's something you just
Look at my canoe I just made. It's reflections in the Panama Canal. And it's red, green, black as Christmas colors, and it's brown outside. And there's different colors of water as a reflection, and it's a parakeet blue, like the Panama Canal.
Beautiful.
Wow.
And then
That's beautiful.
this is going to be, well, I can't say too much about it, but we have a book project, and it's out to publishers now. And hopefully this is the cover. Wyatt, can you tell us why you painted this and what it means to you?
Jesus giving them lollipops up in heaven, and there's a dark blue river and a light blue sky, and that's light green and dark green grass, and Jesus giving them several lollipops, watching TV with them, playing ball, and he's talking to them about pastor, and the pastor Rand likes to talk about the sermon sometimes, and he likes to show a video clip on Christmas every year, like Charlie Brown. He's explaining why.
Well, Wyatt has this vision.
So I was just going to ask him that. Go ahead.
Okay, tell us about your vision of what happens when dogs die. Where do they
When
go?
dogs die, they get lollipops up in heaven from Jesus, like different flavors: bubblegum, blueberry, orange, lime, lemon, sometimes mint or grape, and they get to play ball up in heaven and watch TV.
This
Beautiful.
has been his vision
Beautiful.
since he was this big. We're
Wow.
big dog people. And Milo, Sharon and Dylan's dog, I think you might have heard barking a minute ago. We're big dog people. And every time we've lost a dog, Wyatt has said to me, Mom, don't worry.
Long time ago.
Don't worry, because what color, he said Jesus is given
Several lollipops.
What color did Casey get? What
Casey
kind?
got mint green, and she got blue cotton candy.
And what did Hunter get?
Hunter got bubble gum and lime, and BG got purple grit plum, and he got pink bubble gum.
Okay, well,
Wow.
that's his vision, so I don't
That
know.
was rhyming, gum and plum.
It does. Wyatt, let me ask you, when you paint things, hopefully you guys can still hear me because now your screen is frozen. When you paint something, Wyatt, do you see it in your mind really clearly before you even begin to paint, or does it come together while you're painting?
It comes together while I'm painting. And
Wow.
And
But he
Paula
did-
teaches me different strokes, like streaks that go like this, and different colors. She's a good art teacher. She teaches me lessons every other week. And I've learned to dip in water that goes like this and then paint like this as like streaks.
Yeah, well,
Interesting.
you've learned a lot from Paola. Paola, his teacher, Paola Luther, is a world-class artist. Are we freezing?
Your
Yeah.
video is frozen, but we can hear you.
Okay, we'll keep going. I don't know how to fix that, but anyway, she's a world-class artist. We have the joy of having her teach Wyatt several times a week, actually. And when he does the pet portraits, he paints from a photograph. So we have people send us photographs, and he paints from the photograph. But he takes a lot of creative license. Sometimes the dogs turn out blue. Sometimes they turn out with, red. All kinds of things. So, yeah, he takes a lot of creative license, and it's his vision,
I
right?
like doing streaks like this on the canvas.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like streaks like lines.
Mhm. Okay.
And
Streaks are strokes.
Strokes, streaks, yeah.
Johnson strokes.
Nancy, where can we find Dylan's art if people are interested in seeing and purchasing, maybe in commissioning art? Where can they go to see
Okay,
that?
the best way to do that is, he does have a website, WyattJacksonArt.com.
Okay.
WyattJacksonArt, all one word.com. But probably the best place is if people on Facebook, messenger me on Facebook. I'm Nancy Alspaugh Jackson on Facebook. And they can also email me. It's a little bit complicated, but it's jumpinnan@AOL.com. That's jumpinnan@AOL.com. And I
Just
also
put it
want
on
to
the
say
screen.
that we do a lot for charity. Brian, you attended the Beyond fundraiser. We showed the film Beyond. I'm on the board of the Beyond Ranch Foundation. I'm passionate about creating communities for those more severely affected than Wyatt or Dylan. And there are a lot of those kids out there. As beautiful as our kids are, and as gifted as most of them are, there's another side to the story. And that's that a lot of them do have severe deficits, behaviors, and a lot of these kids are not going to have a place to go when their parents pass on, or even now, sometimes their parents can't care for them. And we want to create forever communities for those kids. So I just think it's important that it's all not, lollipops, unicorns, and rainbows.
Oh yeah.
Right? I'm very happy that my son has these gifts.
I am talented. I am a great artist. I work together in the kitchen with me and John, and I am helpful. And me and John go shopping sometimes when I work together. And I like to go to church a lot, Godspeed, Prince of Peace. And I know I like Father Rand because he tells the service. He prays to God. He helps others. And one of my goals is to live alone, not to act silly, be cool, and be flexible. Always listen to my elders, do what I'm told. I'm working for close to being a black belt.
Can you tell us the black belt creed?
I am a dedicated student of the martial arts. I live by the principles of black belt: modesty and courtesy, integrity, self-control, perseverance, and indomitable spirits. Yay! Black belt school, sir. Black belt excellence, sir.
Love that.
That's
Love
fantastic.
That's which is actually going to help us lead into a conversation with Dylan as well. And again, Nancy, you guys are frozen on.
Tell them one more time what your shirt says.
Picasso.
Sorry.
Picasso. Is there any way to get the stream back?
I need a Kleenex.
Okay, you get a Kleenex while Dylan gets. We're trying to get the stream back. I don't know what's going on here, but meanwhile, let Dylan, because you can't see him while we're trying to do this.
Right. And by the way, Nancy, I'll tell you, Dylan, hold on a second. I tell people all the time, we do this live. We don't edit this. We don't, hyper produce this, because this is life. And for families who deal with individuals, who have some special needs issue, medically complex issue, life comes at you and a lot of things happen, and you have to be flexible, go with the flow. And this is reflective of our lives. And so imperfections are perfections in just a different light. That's all. And we've lost them.
I was going to encourage them not to leave all, but you know what? That may help, and actually that may be the solution for them to leave all together and then come back. That does help. I like talking to you too.
Yeah, me too. It's great. They're trying to come back on. So it's all fine. And Dawn's having some technical issues, and again, we joked about this, that technical issues are always a part of our, been part of our. Our existence since the very beginning, because again, we deal with stuff as it comes.
Part of the growing process anyway. Yeah.
Well, and how many times have people been on an important phone call and they're lost their cell connection, or they've been on a meeting on Zoom and lost their internet connection, or, in the middle of something and their child has a sensory overload issue, and they need to stop what they're doing and deal with that in the moment. And it is just what happens.
It's one of those things that has us going back and forth between continuing to do the show in a live manner versus recording it. But
just for people to know, we've talked about recording this and making it all nice and spiffy. And we may still do some of that for some of the content, but honestly, we love this live activity, because even for those of us, by the way, deal with some ADHD issues. I'm looking at both of our screens here. Sometimes we have to learn how to adjust to the world when these kinds of things happen. So this is just part of our own personal growing experience, even in our ripe young ages that we are.
Yeah, definitely. And, I think it's interesting. It's like a growth opportunity too. Once upon a time, especially when we first started doing this thing, I'd be freaking out and pretty mortified about the whole lack of anything smooth taking place. I think that, it was one of the first shows that we did, I think it was me. There was no audio whatsoever. So they're back with us, but I'm
going to mute them here a second.
Camera.
Let's see if they're there.
Yeah.
Nancy, can you hear us okay? Oh, nope, gone.
Yeah, they're working their way.
They'll need to
Trying to get the camera back on. I mean, you could see us, but not really.
We can hear you. Oh, nope, they're gone again. They keep removing themselves from the. My daughter Jo has just signed in from Israel too, by the way. Very excited about that.
Yeah, think about that, like where she's signing in from. And we should, let them know, once they're back on. I think the stream. I think if you guys, we'll probably have to bear with just the audio, unfortunately, because I think if you continue to try to get the camera as well, then we may end up losing you. It would really rather not have that happen. Rather have some of you than none of you, if that makes sense.
Nope. We're going to see Nancy.
Yeah,
I'm going to mute Nancy here on this side. Johnny's trying to help bring them on the phone, perhaps. And anyways, and we haven't had a chance to talk to Dylan much yet, but these two young adults, young men, are really leading some powerful, interesting lives, and again, guided by some amazing support. Johnny Espinoza, their assistant, really their guide. Don the Dragon Wilson, who's going to be joining us shortly on the MMA side of things, teaching them about how to deal with their body and activity and action. Hey, Johnny, we see you there, buddy. Let's see if I can.
You might want to wait till they're set, because
Johnny, we see you there. You all right? Johnny, can you hear us? No, we cannot hear you. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna. We've lost them both now.
Okay.
Nancy?
Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm saying have the camera to my phone.
and we
We
can.
can't see you on camera, but we can hear you. Oh, yeah, Nancy,
Yes.
there you are. Okay, we can hear you.
Let's
Okay.
just go with
All right, let's go with audio. Great.
You got it. So can we talk we want to chat with Dylan a little bit, and we'll get Dawn on here shortly, we hope. And so Dylan, give us a little bit of like, what are you doing these days, and your work with Don Wilson, and what's happening in your life that we can talk about.
Well, I'm very glad you asked. So as of now, much like with Wyatt, I too am training to get my black belt, complete my training in the martial arts, and I aim to continue to learn the martial arts because it has reached my best understanding that just because you have a black belt doesn't mean the training stops. You see, for me, it's not about the belt rank, it's about what I can learn after I get that rank. That's my aim.
Love that.
That's that.
Yeah.
This might seem like an odd question, Dylan, but where does that perspective come from? That's very insightful of you. I for anyone, quite frankly.
He wants to know about why you pursued martial arts. You had a story that you wanted to tell about.
Right. So the reason why I started martial arts is because I was witnessed to a very traumatic event, and after years worth of encouraging my father to enroll me in the martial arts, he finally said yes. So I began learning from a traditional perspective, and then years later, I started learning Muay Thai and kickboxing and Krav Maga, and I found that to be far more efficient and useful in my life, both in and out of the dojo.
Wow. Can you?
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Yeah.
I think Sean and I had the same thought. So Dylan, both physically and in other ways too, I'm assuming, right? You're talking about growth, both in how you handle your body, but also thought process. And can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So what martial arts has taught me to do currently is it's giving me the ability to multitask, which I've had a little bit of difficulty doing, but now, I mean, it still presents a little bit a challenge, but I'm getting better at it.
I'm getting better at it too, and I'm learning front kicks, rear kicks, and I'm learning how to behave. But I had a little bit of a meltdown last night, and I'm learning to control them.
That one thing I love about martial arts training is that some people think it's to learn how to fight, and the reality is it's to learn how to not fight, and really to learn how to
Not fight.
Not fight. It's dangerous.
Right. Sometimes it's to de-escalate a situation, or to again have presence of mind when it comes to certain experiences and certain things. As Dylan said, is something that could be traumatic. So that is brilliant, and I think the fact that the two of you have embraced this so much is a huge testament to your commitment to finding a way to, sometimes deal with the challenges in life.
Yeah. How old were
Sure.
you? How old were you each, gentlemen, when you were diagnosed? Are you aware?
I was 22 years ago.
No, that when you were diagnosed with autism, you were diagnosed, Wyatt, when you were 4.
Yes.
Okay. And what about you, Dylan?
Me, I got my diagnosis just before my 3rd birthday.
Wow.
And how old are
this
you
is-
guys now? Just to give people an idea. Dylan, how old are you now?
I am 29 years young.
There you go.
I'm 22, so I'm ready to read those.
I am 22.
Wow. That's this means a lot to me, especially because I don't want to put limitations and say that I can't, but I'll say that we have not had detailed conversations with our son about his autism, like what does that mean, how has it affected you, and things like that. So I'm being a little selfish as a host in that I'm kind of getting inside you guys' heads and seeing your point of view and everything, and the way that you explain exactly how martial arts has helped you. And Dylan, even you Wyatt, talking about your meltdown last night and the way you handle it, that's really something else, to have a high level of self-awareness. Wyatt, if you can, you said you need to kind of figure out how to handle the meltdowns that you
I go to
have
my
last
room
night.
when
Let's wait for
Is that
Shawn to
rude?
stop. Go ahead and tell him what you do when you have a meltdown.
I go to my room right away and I rip up paper and want to draw some things, like I draw pizza and I draw a truck and a bunk bed and some and a notification that's notes for therapy.
And what about the deep breathing? Yeah, how do you?
We do those too.
Meditation, and have good breathing skills, and I always cut paper.
Yeah, you cool off, right?
Yes, but I'm ready to go over what I am.
Okay, go ahead. Let them ask the questions, and you can.
Good. So I was going to ask, and then Dylan, I'll ask you the same thing. How do you handle meltdowns, and if you guys can both talk about if you're aware of what usually causes them?
How do you handle meltdowns,
Dylan, do you
Dylan?
still have meltdowns?
These days, I don't have meltdowns anymore, but if ever I am angry, I just love to go outside. I actually like to say that I live outside because there's something about the outdoors that's just very calm and serene for me.
Yeah.
For me too, by the way. I totally agree with you.
Same here. This is why I'm just like, it's interesting because you may think of, neurodivergent, special needs, autism, ADHD, whatever. But the truth of the matter is everybody has meltdowns of some kind. How many times have you seen grown adults without a diagnosis behind a wheel in a car that have a meltdown in terms of road rage or traffic or whatever, or people that have problems with their job or their health? Everybody needs an outlet of some kind to kind of recenter themselves. And it starts by being able to, know who you are and know yourself. So the self-awareness that you guys have, each of you, not everybody's walking around with that. So take some credit for that. I think that's a great thing. And I'm taking notes too.
And I hear my question for you guys here is, when it comes to your evolution and the things that you're learning and the things that you are practicing in your life to get better and deal with things, can talk about how people like Don Wilson and the other role models in your life, how have those folks helped you in the process?
Let Dylan start, then you can go.
Well, so one of the ways that having a coach for me is they really do, as much as they believe in me, they really do push me. So that's why I say I am grateful to have role models like Johnny Espinoza, Aaron Aziz, Master Roger Lacombe, and Master Don Wilson, because I draw a lot of wisdom and knowledge from those people. So I would say that it's very important to have.
Me too.
So I would say it's very important to have a Johnny in everyone else's life.
Love
Wait,
that.
can you tell Brian and Shawn what your teachers mean to you?
My teachers mean therapy, and I'm disciplined. I am healthy. I am strong. I am a great artist. I am grateful and blessed. And I am strong. I am courageous. I am healthy. What I do every day is go to Light of Hope and practice karate, go on hikes sometimes.
And what about your teachers though? What do you get from them? Did they help you a lot?
They help me a little bit with helping me how to calm down, go over emotional coping, and they ask, "Do we know if this person is in that room?" And I like to vent with them as well.
Yeah, you're talking more about your therapist. Wyatt still receives behavior therapy, so he has that in his life. Like I said,
His name's Kevin, who's coming tomorrow.
Yeah, he's coming tomorrow, Kevin. And you have a village of people that support you, right?
Yes.
And guys, speaking
John
from
Andrea
speaking from a teacher's perspective,
This is Johnny Espinoza.
This is Johnny Espinoza. So, one of my favorite proverbs is those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed, and really never has that been more true in my experience with these friends of mine. I call them my friends because they're not just clients. I've gotten to know over the last year and a half, although I help them physically and help them gain confidence. The blessing has really been on me, with their amazing moms who do it all. Also, John helping out Wyatt. It's about things like patience and challenging them in love to push the boundaries and not to assume competency. Also, their attention to detail for the things that they're passionate about is unparalleled. I definitely love what I do. It's a passion of mine, and the blessing really is on us teachers, not the other way around, in my opinion.
Me too.
Love that, Johnny. Love that, Johnny. But Johnny, I got a chance to meet you briefly too during that event, and clearly, and this is, it's funny. And Nancy, we could do an entire session with you and Johnny at some point, because we love talking to people who commit to that, which you just mentioned, refreshing others and the impact that you have on our neurodiverse community. And so hearing from you, Johnny, is it's important and something that, we need to spend some time on, because you're like an angel walking on earth here. You're the fact that
Johnny.
Amen.
Yeah, amen.
When will that be over?
Thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me.
How did you get into this kind of work yourself, Johnny? Tell us about that.
After being in sales for over 20 years and just living the day-to-day 9 to 5, my nephew he was in this industry. He was doing caretaking, and I always knew that it was a passion because I love to coach. I coach baseball and football, and I love helping the youth. But he kind of steered me in this area, and one thing led to another, and I started working one-on-one with Rio Wiles, and then with Dylan and I, we progressed all the way to getting him, ready for his black belt. And then Wyatt and I have been together for a few months. So as I'm picking up new buddies of mine, I'm just learning more and more. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into this realm.
It's amazing. Again, bless you. We put that the proverb up on the screen for those to see. The generous will prosper. Those who refresh others will themselves be refreshed. I love that. By the way, the work that Shawn and I do, we look at that and take that exact saying to heart. We live that on a daily basis. I've never actually seen it on screen. It actually makes so much sense. So again,
thank you guys for everything you do as well.
Yeah, it's just a matter of a reminder of how connected we all are on the planet. The thread that separates us is very, very thin. And we started the show, really. We started this whole idea. We're going to focus on people that help people in our community as far as special needs and all these different things. But when you think about it, after a while, it's like anything that affects the general population affects us and our community 10 times, tenfold. And that it just applies to any and everything out there that's done. So any reminder of that is just a great thing to have.
Absolutely.
There's Don.
Hi, Don the Dragon.
Okay.
Perfect.
I used my phone. I gave up on the laptop,
Hang on a second.
and the phone popped right up.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
Love it. Love it. Love it. I muted. I'm sorry. We muted Nancy there just for a quick second. Nancy,
Yeah.
mute for a second. Don,
Yes.
perfect timing. This is so great. First of all, we've got a chance to talk to Nancy a little bit, and also to talk to Wyatt and Dylan and Johnny Espinoza as well.
Oh,
So the timing,
very good.
timing is perfect because we're talking about role models and positive role models. I want to talk a little bit about you, Shawn. I'm going to let you ask Don a few questions. Nancy, I'm going to unmute you guys, but just let.
We want to give you not only the appropriate introduction and everything, Don. For those that may not be familiar with Don's work, Don has worked in and around martial arts, UFC, and action and martial arts films for 30 years plus, and has been in a variety of things, including but not limited to, I believe it was Batman Beyond. Or was it Batman? No, there isn't Batman Beyond. I'm making up the title. Is that
Batman Forever?
Batman Forever. Okay, right. That and other things as well. So if you will, tell us about a little bit about your path from martial arts and film to giving back specifically to the special needs community. Now, for all I know, you may have been, working in charitable and giving endeavors, for all your life. But tell us about that if you can.
Well, I'm gonna give you the condensed mini bio version of the Dragon's history. Okay.
Okay.
I was born in Alton, Illinois, in 1954. So I'm 69 years old, and at that time there were no Asians living in America in that area. And
right. It's not like California.
Well, I wasn't in California then; it's Illinois.
That's what I'm saying. It's not. It would be different if you were out in California or something like that, right?
Community here, yeah. The Illinois is right in the middle of the country, so I grew up as the only Asian-looking kid around, and people said, "Well, you got a brother, an older brother, a year and a half." Yeah, but he didn't look as Asian as me. I don't know. He got the white genetics or something, but yeah, I even though I had a brother, he did not look Asian. So I lived in Illinois till 4 years old. Then we moved to Florida, and I lived in Cocoa Beach, Florida. And of course, there's even less Asians in Florida. That's about as far as you can get from Japan and still be in America, the East Coast. So I wanted to be accepted by the people, white kids, and because it was segregated back then. Black kids had their own schools and the white kids had their school. And so
right.
I went to the white school, and but I was the only Asian. So I kind of was bullied. I kind of got picked on. And
right.
I wanted to be accepted. But so I found out when you sink a 30-foot jump shot, nobody cares what color you are. Everybody likes you. So through sports, I started being accepted. And then, in my high school years, they just started segregation in the South. Then to our school anyway, when I was a junior in college in high school, they desegregated the schools. They bused the black students to the white. So you had whites and blacks and me. So again, there was this, I want to be accepted. But like I said, when you sink a 30-foot jump shot, everybody likes you. So basically, I really pushed myself in sports because I had the big incentive. And I was the MVP of my high school basketball team and the MVP of my high school football team.
Wow.
So a lot of people said, "Oh, you're a natural athlete," but I'm not really sure. I think it was motivation. I was more motivated. So I became MVP of football and basketball. Now, the martial arts, a lot of people thought, "Oh, I got picked on," and no. What happened was I went to the Coast Guard Academy, and because I didn't want to go to Vietnam. My war was the Vietnam War. And it's not that I don't believe in fighting for freedom, but I just didn't believe the Vietnamese would threaten our country. I didn't feel it was a justified war. So I went to the Coast Academy instead of, being drafted. And after we got out of Vietnam, I got out of the Coast Guard at the Academy after a year. So then now we're in Florida. I'm back in Florida. I'm out of the Academy. And my brother has a Kung Fu school. I start taking lessons from my brother. And basically, I I did take some lessons in the Coast Guard Academy, Goju, which is Japanese karate. But really,
BC Goju, yes.
my main style is Pai Lam Kung Fu, and I got my black belt under that style. And in 1974, they started what they call full contact karate in America. That is a kind of watered down version of kickboxing.
Right.
And up today, its generic term is kickboxing. But the very beginning in 74, I fought the first fight on the East Coast. And I was going to take a few semesters off of college. And 28 years later, I was still kickboxing. So the movie thing happened because of Chuck Norris. He gave me the idea. He's the first person who was in the business, who used to go to my fights. And he said, Don, when you retire, move out to LA, get an agent. He said, it's a great second career, because that's what Chuck did. You know,
Right.
He didn't actually plan on being an actor. Bruce Lee asked him to be a bad guy in one of his movies, and he did it, Return of the Dragon.
Return of the Dragon, yep.
And he realized maybe he could have a second career. So he took acting lessons, like I did, and everybody does. I mean, except Johnny Depp. He doesn't need acting lessons. But generally, if you want to be a carpenter, you got to go to school and study it. If you want to be
for sure
anything, and if you want to be an actor and you have no experience like Chuck and I, you take lessons. And we eventually used the same formulas in sports that we did, and we translate that formula for success into acting. And we became Chuck became the #1 action show in the world, Walker, Texas. Schwarzenegger and I also talked about it. He became the highest paid actor in the world when he did Terminator 2.
Right.
I had my picture in Time magazine for being one of the top 4 direct-to-video stars in the world. And this back in the 90s. Yeah, I was never really what I consider a movie star, like box office movies. I was a video star. and I would do, Entertainment Weekly interviewed me, I would do 5 movies a year. Now, that's in the same genre, playing relatively the same guy. I'm not a character actor. I'm not totally different from movie to movie.
Right.
But I told people, because actors and people in the business, talent agents, they said, Mr. Wilson, you're overexposing yourself. And I said, look, everybody every week, Friday, they go to the video store to look at what's new. I said, I could do 50 movies a year and still be a success and still be making money on every one. And I'm the only one who did 5 anyway, but I didn't go that crazy and try to do 50.
Right. So how do you transition?
5 movies in, actually Entertainment Weekly did the story on me. It was 13 months, but that's close to a year, right? I mean,
right,
sure.
Right. No, that's still, I mean, success is success, and product is product. So hey, no knock it at all. But how did you go with the transition from that to this service oriented stuff that we see you doing now, especially having this profound effect on these young men?
Well, here's the thing. I used to have a Kung Fu school in Florida before I moved to LA. And that was, I moved to LA in 85. So I ran a school while I was a professional fighter, my peak of my career. The peak of my career was 1984. I was Fighter of the Year. So that's a few years ago, right? 84.
Just a few.
But I believe, my general theory of life, my life anyway, is I believe like the Greeks do, the ancient Greeks, they believe there's a time for everything. And when you're young, in your 20s, it's all about me, me, me. I've got to try to physically be the most I can based on my genetics and my desire. And so I did that for up until like 84. Then I moved to LA. Now I did continue to fight until 2002 was my last fight. But that was just monetary things. That was not me as an athlete. That was me as a businessman. I mean, I fought on pay-per-view, Caesar's Palace, MGM Grand Hotel. The money was just too good for me to say no. And so I did that, and I did the movies. And I'm the only kickboxer that did the movies. These other world champions that you see in the movie business, to my knowledge, people talk about Van Damme. To my knowledge, he may have had a few pro fights, but
There's
no
more movies than
top 10
competition.
fights,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for sure.
No, but you don't have to be. You know what? Keanu Reeves looks great in The Matrix, and he's not a world kickboxer, right?
There you
You
go.
don't have to do it. We don't know.
So
We don't know if Clint Eastwood can shoot a gun, but he looks
Right.
great on film doing it, right?
Absolutely. For
Yeah,
sure.
it's
For
fake.
sure.
Yep. So how did you get into the work? So having a dojo is not necessarily new, but talk about the opportunity and the impact made on these boys' lives. In particular, if you can, from your perspective.
Well, everything that I've done now, okay, we're going through this Greek thing that every time in your life. While I was at my peak, working 5 movies a year, I was also doing charity events. Because there's a party somewhere in LA every weekend. You can go for publicity, you can go to a screening. You know, there are many things that go on that are kind of help you career and things. But at this point of my life, at the later years of anybody's life, I believe in giving back at this point. And so when I'm asked to do events, I choose to focus on the more charitable ones that, like the Children's Hospital, St. Jude's, and Athlete and Entertainers for Kids. Me and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar literally went to high schools and talked to kids. And but for me, it's a giving back time of my life now. So the more I can, if people ask me, as long as it's a legit charity, because as it turns out, there are some charities where they say a portion of the proceeds go to let's say the March of Dimes, and then you find out it's like a
What portion?
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
I really do want to take a little bit of time and effort to make sure it's a legitimate cause I'm helping. But one thing I know, the best charity is when you can see the people you're helping right in front of you, and that's why I like doing what I did working with Wyatt and
Dylan, yeah.
Dylan, because that directly affects them teaching, and that is the best charity anybody can do to me.
How long have you been working with the boys? I call them the boys because I'm old,
but I've been happy to do it. It's like my attitude is the same, but I just started. Nancy asked me, and I said, of course, yes.
Love it. Well, we have Dylan back on. We've had some technical difficulties, as you know, this episode. We see Dylan. I'm going to unmute you, Dylan. So Dylan, you're newly working with Dawn, and again, this experience has been great for you for a whole number of things. But we share with us because again, having a role model is important. What are some of the things that Dawn has guided you and taught you throughout this process?
Well, one of the key traits would be confidence. And let me just say good morning to you, Master Wilson.
Good morning.
Another...
You're pretty darn good, man. You did a good job.
Thank you, Master Wilson. I look forward to seeing you in the dojo soon. Another really good thing that Master Wilson has given me is strategy and using your mind to evaluate and assess certain situations. And a lot of really good instructors have given that to me, so I think people
like common theme.
You had something to say, sir?
Oh, he was saying it's a common theme. Yeah.
Common theme. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you there. If you don't mind my asking, Master Wilson, how could martial arts benefit other uniquely abled people?
Great question.
Well, like you were saying, self-confidence is one thing, but also it is a physical activity that makes you healthier. Now, our bodies are not ever. We live in these, and if they're not working at 100%, I don't believe you're the full experience of life. If is subpar, energy level, trade, or you have health issues. So body, and you keep it healthy, you have I think a better chance of having a good life.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
This is great. And again, I know that we are dealing with a lot of
Your
technical
question
issues
was,
for those who are.
But that's what I believe. So I do whatever I can. Martial arts definitely.
No, and there it goes. As we've said, we've been having technical issues this entire episode. By the way, this is life, right? This is what happens. Dylan, first of all, I'm proud of you. That was a brilliant question.
I know.
What you just did. That was love that because it shows me you're also thinking about people outside of your own experience with Master Don, and I think that it really is. The idea of empathy and love is really what the world's all about. You just showed both there in your acknowledgement of him, in your greeting him, and then in your question to ask him about how it helps other folks. We're coming to the end of this hour, and when you get a chance to say goodbye to Wyatt and Nancy. But Dylan, it's been great to have you on, and probably worth it for us to have another conversation at some point, one-on-one with you, and at some point, one-on-one with Nancy and Wyatt, and we'll coordinate a time where we can do all of that.
Definitely.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Brian. Hi, it's Sharon, Dylan's mom. I just wanted to say that I want to just give a shout out to you guys. I want to say thank you so much for inviting these guys in to get a little bit of visibility. We will do it again. So ever so grateful to Nancy for putting it out there with Don the Dragon, and Dylan's got some amazing mentors. Just really gratitude all around to all of you folks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you
It's
so
very
much.
sweet.
Thank you.
Sharon. By the way, I think Shawn just sent me a quick note here while you were talking to us. Dylan, we may want you to be like a roving reporter for us, just because I think that your insightfulness.
Exactly.
We may talk to you about doing something beyond this. So let's keep in touch, because I think that.
Well, thank you so very much, Brian Altunian. I do have a BA in Communication Studies from Cal State University, Northridge. So I would love to do that.
That's awesome.
We'll make that happen.
Awesome.
Looks like Don may be joining us just in time to say goodbye there.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I'll add him, Shawn. I'll add him.
Okay, there you
are.
go.
Don, you there?
Oh yeah. I see everybody. I said sorry. I don't know what happened. Everything went off.
That's okay.
It happens.
That's okay.
It's definitely the. I'm going to mute this over here. It's definitely the the life of technical issues.
Sorry for the feedback.
It's all right.
Oh,
Shawn, I'll manage the
I see
control.
Nancy over here.
Here I am.
Hi.
And I wanted to say goodbye and thank you, as Sharon said. Thank you for the opportunity. And Don, thank you so much for, you're an icon, you're a legend. Yet when I said, would you be willing to meet the boys in the gym? You were like, absolutely. And we need more of that in this world. I used to think that I always wanted to change who Wyatt was. I don't want to change who he is, but I do want to change the way the world is when it comes to those with disabilities. And you are Wyatt just said, amen. You are a bright light. Shawn and Brian, you are bright lights. And I want to thank you. And, there's a lot of male bashing going on in the world. No, there are a lot of good men out there, and you three show that. So thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Wyatt, great to see you. Keep
Good
up the
to
great
be back.
work.
I've done a good job so far.
Great to have
Yeah,
you.
you did a great job. All right. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, Nancy. We'll talk to you
Bye.
soon. Don,
Okay.
before you go,
Bye-bye.
bye, guys.
Yes, Brian.
Thanks again. Don, just wanted to say thank you for your contribution.
Yes.
And again, for those of us who are parents of children with neurodiverse children, it's so meaningful to have folks like you who are willing to make a contribution to our families and be giving of yourself. And by the way, I don't think you have to be retired to do it, but the fact that you do it and continue to do the work and support Dylan and Wyatt, it's a true testament to who you are in the world, and God bless you. We thank you so much.
Mhm.
As we wrap up this show,
Well,
which has
it's
been
the best
kind of
use of the best use of any knowledge.
agreed. We agree. We'll work on the technology for the next time. As we wrap up the show, just want to say a couple things. We want to thank Billy Footwear for always being a good sponsor for us, and adaptive footwear for folks. And Shawn and I do a men's group every 2 weeks. We do a Zoom with dads of neurodiverse children, and a safe place to have a conversation. We put it up on the screen, and we put it up on the show notes to join us for folks who are interested in having a conversation. Know that you're not alone as dads of children with special needs issues. And empathy and love, always, as we said earlier, what makes the world go round. So if you see somebody with a situation you don't know anything about, be empathetic, don't be judgmental, and look at the world through the lens of love. The world's a much better place. And we'll throw it over to Shawn to close us out. Again, I want to thank you both, Nancy and Sharon in the background, and then Dawn and the young men, Dylan and Wyatt. Thank you guys all for being on today's episode.
Thank you for listening Thank you for listening wherever you are, and thanks to Sean Hall, our producer out in Hawaii, who takes care of all of our graphics and everything. And just remember, questions are more powerful than statements. Let's try and be a little more childlike, less childish. Everybody needs to know that they matter, that they're seen, that they loved. And wherever you are within the sound of our voice, we love you. Thanks so much.
We love you, everybody. See you again soon.
Great job, guys.
Bye-bye.
See you very soon.